So today I'm doing a psychic reading on Steven Greer. He is someone who talks to the public about aliens and UFOs and stuff like that. He's part of what he calls the Disclosure Project, which is releasing alien UFO type of stuff to the public. He's just an interesting guy. I thought it would be interesting to do a reading on him. So I'm going to go ahead and connect to his energy and meditation and go through the 7 layers of the energy field. Just need a second to get connected. The way I read is through images that are usually symbolic. So I'm going to be looking for pictures and symbols for the first layer, which has to do with safety, security, and survival. These are just general patterns that show up that have to do with just his daily life, just where he's at. It's not karma necessarily, but it's just like patterns that continue. So let's see, safety, security, survival. So I'm seeing him looking at something very, very carefully. And this, again, he's scientific, and so this makes a lot of sense. I'm trying to see, what is this about? So the way I'm seeing it is it's like he's analyzing something like it has to do with a dinosaur. So what does this have to do with this safety, security, and survival? I just see him putting this like evidence, like taking it with him, trying to understand what this means. So what does this have to do with safety, security, and survival? It's like he feels very safe is basically what's coming up. Like he doesn't feel the urge to like hide what he's doing. There's a sense of confidence within all of his actions. It's like I see like this like monster kind of energy that's trying to scare him, but it's not able to phase him. He's just so confident. So anyways, that's what's coming up for that layer. Let's move on to the next layer. And as I read, these will kind of paint a picture that everything will kind of make more sense as it goes on. The second layer, seeing this as a yellow vibration, this is about emotions, sensuality, and sexuality. Seeing a picture of him with a snowball in his hand, and he's throwing it, and there's a boy. I don't know if he has a son, but I'm seeing a boy with him, and he's laughing, and like a very fatherly type of role here. Whether or not he is a father, I'm not sure. But it's like he's playing with this child, nevertheless. He's very emotionally invested in other people and their joy. It's almost like he takes on that like father type of energy towards other people. He has to, um, make people feel good, take care of people, in other words, in a fun kind of, turning things into a game and, raising the vibration of those around him. But I'm also seeing that this wears him out a little bit. It's like he goes pretty extreme, or not extreme, but he goes a little out of his way to really help other people out and make them feel better. And I'm just seeing him being like tired, like needing some time to himself because of this emotional investment in making everybody else happy all the time. So I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next layer. These are super quick. The third layer is about doingness, what people do, willpower, and sometimes male and female energy show up in this layer. So it comes up here. So I'm seeing him looking at his watch. So this indicates that there's, something to do with time. He's waiting. There's a lot of time management going on here. So let's see, what does this mean for him and his third layer? This is weird. It's like I'm seeing like this dinosaur type of creature again. Like what I was seeing before. I'm trying to make sense of this. And this has to do with him waiting. What is this? This is a type of energy that's in his space, or in his energy, that's affecting him. And it's making him feel like he has to do something big, like he has to go big or go home. There's a type of energy being projected into his energy field. So I'm going to see what his truth here is. I'm saying that his truth is that he wants to spend a lot more time with his family. I'm seeing a grandmother. It looks like he's got his sights on like the bigger picture, the bigger deal, to the point where it's a little stressful, and he's stuck looking at this watch. So let's see, what is this watch about? I'm saying like his grandmother and family. It has to do with family. And it's like he's trying to do something exactly right. This has to do with science. It's like there's this dynamic between his home life and these things he feels he needs to accomplish within the scientific realm of things, and doing things very precisely, and like on a very strict sort of way. And so there's not very much wiggle room for him to kind of do what he wants, to kind of have leisure time. So it looks like he pushes himself very hard. So I'm going to go ahead and look for the next layer. Look for the next picture. The next picture has to do... What am I on? The fourth layer. The fourth layer has to do with identity. clearing out some energy really quick. Fifth layer has to do with identity. So let's see what comes up here. So I'm seeing him again being very busy. It's like he doesn't have time to slow down. It's like almost like he's cooking in a restaurant in the way that people will be running back and forth. It's like he doesn't even have time to form his own identity. It's almost like his identity just kind of falls in his lap because it's just the card he's been dealt. And I mean that, like, in the sense of he's too busy to even worry about his identity, to even try to control it. Let's see. And it's like he's breathing really heavily. Like he's been just like going and going and going. Again, he just wants to sit down and have more time to be with his family, it looks like, in general. And it looks like he's really trying to be a perfectionist. He's trying to get everything perfect. And it's like he doesn't want to present things to the world until they're totally perfect. And it looks like he's stuck in that a little bit, to the point where it can be very stressful and not really in his best interest. So I'm going to move on to the next layer. Next layer is the sixth layer, has to do with communication. So I see him talking to a scientist looking guy. Let's call him a scientist. And it's like he's talking very kind of slow and deliberate, like making sure that every word is exact. He's not rushing it. He's like basically like making sure that the guy hears everything that he's saying word for word, and taking the time to really make sure that he gets the message. So it's almost like he's giving this, like he's giving the rules, like he's got something written up and it needs to be done in a certain way, and he's telling the scientist what to do. Basically, he's got the game plan. He's got everything figured out. He just needs the lab results. That's what's coming up. Let's see, what more does this have to do with his communication space? It's like his motives, such as his projects in science, they basically own him. Like they're bigger than him, if that makes any sense. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard the saying, like, you should be bigger than your job. But he is, in this case, he's not taking that advice. I don't know if that's necessarily good or bad, but this picture looks like it's all consuming. Basically, he is his work. His work is speaking through him. That's kind of all that really that's how he communicates. It's the only way he communicates is through that mode. I'm gonna see. Let's move on to the next layer. Make these quick so I can get to more interesting stuff. Your questions. Sixth layer. Sixth layer is about clairvoyance, about seeing people for who they are as well as being seen for who you are. So it looks like he's looking over a lot of data, like numbers and whatnot. It's almost like he's missing the bigger picture on some level. Like he's so honed in on all this data. It's almost like brain freeze, like in the way that, like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like, I don't know how it relates to brain freeze, but it's like when you eat ice cream and you get brain freeze, and it's like you can't focus on anything else. And it's like you're just kind of stuck on feeling that sensation. And it's like it's kind of like that towards these this data. It's almost like almost all consuming. So how does this affect his clairvoyance or ability to see things for what they are? Again, he's just like very scientific, and he is so stuck in that role. It's almost like something could walk right by him and he wouldn't notice because he's so into these numbers. Interested in this. I'm trying to see a little more. Yeah, I'm just seeing it's like things are going on behind him and he's oblivious to what's going on. So what is he oblivious to? There's like a higher interconnectedness, that's not the right word, like a network, a way that things are operating that it's like he knows about it, but it's like he's not focused on it. He's kind of like he's telling them to be quiet. He's like, be quiet, like get out of here, like trying to focus on these details. And this is about presenting this stuff to the public. It's like he kind of has this intuitive knowing of a lot more of what's going on, but it's like kind of, not scientific. So he's taking this incredibly scientific approach to it in order to present it to the world. So it looks like it's like he's acting like he's oblivious to it. Because on some level he's dismissing it, but like deep down inside, it's like a fly that's landing on his face, and he knows it's there, and just like get off my face. So this is interesting. Let's see, what more is it that what is it more specifically? This is about the nature of, well, ETs, See, what is their nature? It's like their capabilities. It's like their all-knowingness. It's not all-knowingness. It's not that they're all-knowing, but it's their ability to tap into some sort of force like that. Or I guess you could say their clairvoyance. That would be appropriate because I'm on the clairvoyant 6th layer of the energy field. Let's see a little more about this. This has to do with them communicating through their minds. And the things they know and their religion and higher knowledge. And this is all stuff that he seems to be kind of ignoring. Like it's just kind of distracting to his work where he's trying to be a scientist and really get this stuff out in a scientific manner. But it's almost like he's sending the wrong message on it's I don't want to say the wrong message, but it's like the message is it's like a very materialistic message as opposed to the full like spiritual understanding that's going on. And I know that's weird because he does seem like a very spiritual person and he talks about meditation and stuff like that all the time. But that's what I'm seeing, that he's really kind of just not talking about it and dismissing it when it comes to presenting it to the public in a real sort of way. So I'm going to move on to the very last layer, the 7th layer. The 7th layer is about the divine connection to the divine connection to higher self, spirit, whatever you want to call it. So I'm seeing a picture of him, and it looks like there's, it's almost like he's pulling open a hole in the ozone, and it's like the light's shining through. Not like he's ripping the ozone open, but more like he's tearing off, like opening up something to the light, and the light's coming down onto him, and he's trying to see it and analyze it. Seems to be a theme. He's pulling a little piece of it down to look at it, and what it looks like is I'm seeing it as, it looks like a little girl, like feminine energy, very young. What does this mean? He's analyzing some aspect of that. It's like the something about feminine energy and things that are kind of like cutesy, like little girly on some level. It's like things that would normally be dismissed. And it looks like he's really looking at those things and really analyzing them. And this is an aspect of the divine in that context. He's really taking seriously things that normally people wouldn't necessarily take seriously. Like, oh, that's like a cute like kids game, you know. But it's like he's really like like actually looking at it. Let's see, what is this? And so I've read that, but I just want to relate this to his work, his public image. I think that would be interesting. So what does this have to do with his public image? He's trying to make this more known and acceptable to society, but he's doing it in a way where he's not showing that initially, but it's like kind of like a drive that's like on the back burner that's kind of pushing everything, but it's not like at the forefront of his image. So I'm going to look a little deeper into all this, into his career now that I've gone through the basic understanding of his energies, different layers. So I'm going to look more at his career. So I'm seeing an image of it's like a monster truck that's like a toy, remote controlled toy truck going off a ramp, and it's like he's driving this. So this means this is symbolic of something, and it's like it was like a gun tank thing shooting out the back of it. This is very like boy male energy type of thing. Let's see, what does this mean? So the ramp represents his career, the ramp that the thing's jumping off of. What is this toy about? It has something to do with, well, I'm seeing the gun on the back has to do with the military industrial complex. And the vehicle itself has to do with the kind of the mentality that people have, but it's very common in the, I think you could say somewhat common in the military, in the way that it's like kind of everybody, like the party line, if that makes any sense. So what does this mean? So he's putting it off this ramp that's like going up into the air, so it's kind of like he's like taking this normalcy situation of like how people are mentally and whatnot in the military industrial complex, and he's like using his career to just like shove it way up in the air, so it's just like whoosh, like flying through the air. So it's becoming lighter. It's losing its heaviness, like the heavy energy is what he's helping clear out. So this is all very positive. There are some theories about him spreading misinformation and whatnot, which is kind of why I was interested in doing this reading, to be honest. I haven't seen anything of that quite yet, but I'm gonna get to that. But I still feel like there's something more here I can see. It looks like he's really shaking off some of the. I'm seeing older, more stern military like drill sergeant type of looking guys who are like kind of being kicked off of something. Like he's kind of making them no longer relevant, or like making their authority like undercut. That seems to be what the net effect of his work is. So that seems like a positive thing to me, in my opinion. Let's see. Yeah, and he's like kind of laughing about this. He's kind of giddy about it. It's fun to him to see that result. So onto the question that I was really interested in. He seems like a pretty positive guy overall, but I want to see. I want to ask, how do I want to phrase this? I just want to know about him telling the truth. I'm just going to look for a picture about him telling the truth within the context of his career and all that. I'm just saying this lake. It's like he's walking back from this lake. I think he's really tired. He's with some people. Who are these people? This looks like family, like a wife, maybe kids. I don't know if he actually has a family, but that's the type of energy anyways he's in, whatever that means. And he's kind of tired. Let's see, what does this have to do with the truth? He's telling them stories. He's like got his arm around this woman, and he's giving her his jacket, and it's like kind of like campfire stories, talking about things that have happened in the past. So I'm going to ask again, what does this have to do with the truth of his career stories, or his career, of his disclosure project? So this is him telling stories that they look like the real, true stories that he's experienced. Let's see, is there anything that he's throwing in there that isn't true? Now, I don't see anything that he's throwing in there that isn't true, that he's lying about. But what I am getting is that he's kind of like almost a fanatic, in the sense that he's experienced a lot of these experiences and has some crazy stories to tell, and like he's looked into it, and he knows that there are higher forces above him that know more about it than him, and he's really at the bottom end of it, is what I'm seeing, within the whole like intelligence community, I guess you could call it, something like that. At least I don't know if that's exactly what it is, but it's something like that. And he's kind of just like the guy that found out some stuff from about all that, maybe from them. But either way, it's like he's kind of like the fanatic at the bottom of the intelligence. So he doesn't necessarily know all the secrets and all the details. He's just like the spokesperson for it. I'm getting that there are people up higher on this, so I'm going to see. What are these people hiding? So there's like some like untrue things that have been going on. Like some, I shouldn't say untrue, but more like secret things that are secret operations that are bad. Like bad things have happened that Steven Greer is a little naive to. Like he knows a lot about it, and he's very like academically accurate about it, and knows he does know a lot about it all. But there's like higher level secrets that like there would be no way for him to know about. And I'm just getting the sense that these are not good things that have happened within the government. Trying to see what can I get out of what is this? There's a sense of this just being very stern, like this energy of these people. It's almost like they've allowed horrible things to happen with ET and human interaction. I'm just seeing a picture, and this could be a metaphor. Um, I don't know, it could be literal, but it's probably more metaphoric. But what I'm seeing is like aliens chasing this woman, and she's like screaming frantically, and it's like the government officials are just like all their attention is focused on watching the perimeter and making sure there's no interference. So that's the picture that's coming up. And that's kind of interesting because Steven Greer is a very positive um, spokesperson for aliens and whatnot. He always says, they could never be bad or whatever, and it's almost like racist to say that they are. And so, and he's not wrong overall that there are mostly decent beings out there, but it looks like there is some stuff that he doesn't know about. That's just completely secret. That looks like some crazy, like borderline. Well, yeah, I'd just say kind of evil, like science-y type experiments. ET's involved here, and kind of like dominance, like willing to do anything. It's like cutting under the skin type of sensation, like if you just cut someone open and just like tear them open. It's just like that type of mindset of just brutality. Um, let's see. Yeah, Stephen Greer looks a little innocent within that. He's not lying. He's not misleading people. And he's coming from a great place. And I believe there's a lot to what he has to say. But he's a little bit on the naive, kind of overly optimistic, even though optimism is a good thing to have and it can attract better things to you. He may be having better experiences because of his optimism, in fact. Let's see a little bit. I'm more curious about these upper elite people. I'm gonna look a little bit more into that. Just want to see what is their overall dealings with these ETs. Looks like trades with the White House, like dealings with protection. Like for their own protection, but also like alien protection. I don't even know what that means, but that's what's coming up. They've set down very strict rules with these other beings. It's almost like a trade route type of scenario. I don't know if they're literally trading, but that was kind of the general vibe. Kind of an economic kind of situation of some sorts. I don't know what that means, but it's just kind of what's coming up. Let's see what else. Let's see, what are these beings' intentions, these alien intentions that are working with the US government? I just see them playing with technology. And I'm seeing this, it's like an ET with the remote control, and it's like he's controlling the US government's like airplane type of vehicle with it. So what does this mean? So it's like they want control over the US government's technology. Let's see, what do they want? Why do they want control over it? It's almost just like they're playing. Still trying to get this. I'm seeing them like making this airplane go up in the air and fly off and like explode. So why are they doing this? What does that mean? Okay, so they're trying to destroy some aspect of the industrial complex. Because they're a threat. They're trying to bring down the threat. They're trying to make them, they're kind of trying to demilitarize the scenario. Let's see, is this just with the US? I'm saying it really mainly as through the US. I'm not sure if it is through other countries, but I'm really getting that it's through the US primarily, if not only, because it's like that's the way they know that that's the way to really control everything else. Just trying to see more what their goal is here. It's like they get very happy and excited whenever these things, these like this military technology. I'm just saying it's like metaphorically, it turns into a firework and explodes instead of being used as this weapon, and it's like, again, it's similar to what I was reading earlier with the heaviness of the military-industrial complex. The heaviness is kind of being taken away on an energetic level, and it's becoming more like light energetically. And it's really just about taking away so much war in the world. Just the way I'm seeing it. So let's see. Is there any? Let's see. I'm gonna look for a picture about like negativity from these beings towards humans, or any alien beings towards humans involved with the U.S. government. So I'm saying there's like this energy that's like it's kind of like it comes into people. It's not like like a being like these aliens that walk around as much as it's a type of energy that goes like into people, basically. Just like all energy is constantly being exchanged from people, and you can feel someone's vibe. When someone else gets sad, you may get sad too, or if somebody's happy, you may feel happy being around them. Same thing, except this is a little on a slightly deeper level where it's I don't want to call it possession because it's not possession, but it's somewhere in between those two examples. This is creating extreme self-interest and like a sociopathic kind of mentality within the world. Seeing this taking over politicians, I'm not going to say which ones. And it's like it's living through them on some level. I'm trying to see, why does it want to do this? I literally just heard world domination in my head. Total domination. So let's see, what are their means of doing that? Like making everyone really passive and like kind of brain dead and like just really dumbed down. And this is through like beating down people's spirits, like their spirit, like their vibe, you could even say, um, through technology, and like just kind of turning people into just low life scum, basically. This is just like an alien presence. It's like within people. It looks like, yes, it's in the military. It's not like the aspect of the military-industrial complex where it's like the people, the drill sergeants that I was seeing earlier. It's not that. This is like more like kind of like, it's not like at the top of the intelligence or like anything like that. It's just kind of like spread out bit by bit, like here and there, just like a network kind of almost. But it's not really like a network necessarily either. It's just kind of like if there was a bunch of thieves and they all knew they were thieves and they were all doing their own separate thing, but at the same time they were kind of helping each other as a collective not get caught. So it's not so much about there being a collective agenda here as much as it is about there being like a collective like agreement to kind of help each other out to not get caught so that they can all do their own thing. But it's not about everybody like having this one specific goal. It's more just chaos. Like just kind of for their own self gratification, which looks like, let's see, what is this self gratification? Like very inhumane. Basically destroying the spirit of humanity. Still not sure what they get out of this. What do they get out of this? Just control. They just want to. Why do they want to control? Because then they can have everybody working for them, basically. Even though most people would be unconscious that they're even working for them. Or they would just think that it's some like kind of like rebel, kind of edgy type of energy within them that's like the taboo kind of almost like a badass type of feeling is how they would feel about what they're doing. Like they're kind of the exception to the rule. And like what they're doing is just like other people wouldn't understand necessarily. It's like they think that other people just aren't there, so like they're like kind of deserve something more than other people, and that involves getting their kicks and kind of it's like I want to say masochistic kind of ways. Getting that this has been around for a very long time, but there's something about 52 years ago where around 52 years ago something happened with this. It really kind of became more public. Like it became more of like came out of the shadows a little bit, so to speak. Like not so much they're not like them like as a presence, but like the energy that they're emitting, like their vibration basically. And this is disrupt families, like the family morale, kind of created chaos within the family dynamic is how I'm really seeing it play out. And this is about survival for them. That's what I'm seeing it as. This is what they're really getting out of it is survival. I'm going to see, does Steven Greer know about these beings? I'm getting that he does. But that he doesn't necessarily associate them with the ET activity that he knows about. And this is more like something he knows is there. But it's like he knows he can't really describe what it is exactly. And so he's not really focusing on it at all. It's almost like it's more of a force than it is like an actual alien. So he's aware on some level, but unconscious to the full magnitude of it. And he thinks that the truth, revealing the truth through this disclosure project, will really like be the step to take to make things more right. And I'm not really saying that necessarily to be entirely the case, although it is an improvement. But it's also kind of like going around the problem. It's like covering more ground so that the problem has less like area to go. So that's good. It's like it's being circled in a sense, and that seems to be more a strategy to kind of like circle it. Is the way that I'm seeing versus attack it straight on. And I guess that makes sense, but it looks like that's a really long route, and it looks like it could be easily dismantled and easily, like after he goes by, it could just crumble behind him again, potentially. Although it is helping, is what I'm saying. What I'm saying would really help the most would be like this strong conviction in the spirit. And that I'm seeing as the heart chakra and the crown chakra lighting up with gold, and that really representing like the like just really like being connected spiritually. I don't know how to describe this, like this confidence within the truth of the spirit, just like what you feel like just that the saying, when you have high spirits, it's like just having that sensation like on a energetic level. I'm seeing that really being the key to it all. So I'm going to go ahead and end this reading. This was a lot longer than I thought. Kind of went off on a tangent there, but that was pretty interesting stuff. I'm going to clear out the energy so that I don't have to handle it. Probably going to have to clear that out a little bit longer after I end this video. Thanks for watching, if you made it all the way to this point. Yeah, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click the bell next to the subscribe button click it onto all notifications so that you get notified whenever I make a new video. Thanks for watching. If you want a private reading, you can book one at psychictai.yolasite.com. And if you're on YouTube, I will post some stuff below this video, maybe even more stuff that's related to what I talked about in this, and the links I just mentioned. So thanks for watching. Have a great day.